we're going to F11 that bad boy. Just waiting for Nathan. Just waiting for Nathan. It's my big ugly mug. Let's see. Test, test, test. Okay, I can hear myself.
Test, test, test.
Brother, we are live. Can you give me a sound check?
Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. Hello,
I got you, baby.
everybody.
Let's see. I need to pull up my creator dashboard. We're going to go over here. Gonna make that just a little bigger. Okay, now I can see chat. Actually, I've made a mistake. We're gonna do that and that. Okay.
I've made a huge mistake.
I've made a huge mistake. No, my huge mistake was making no notes for this episode and then going live. So here we are, talking about episode 7 and 8 of Ahsoka. I'm so sad it's over. So sad.
Yeah.
Also,
it's a hard one.
What episode number is this?
45.
45.
Yeah, buddy.
Let's freaking go, dude. Welcome to episode 45, everyone. Let's see. I'm going to get my...
Twitch is asking me
monitor
for a token, so give me just a second.
Wow, how rude. Twitch! Turn that down. Put that up. I say, where the heck is my power cable? Sorry for the language.
Flippin' heck.
Flippin' heck.
I tried to kind of center myself a little bit closer, so that way, like, our heads look about the same in camera.
Yeah.
And I'm also holding my mic a little bit closer to my body as well, so we're going to see how that goes. I will do my best to not just move things around, but it's going to be great.
Sitting still is difficult for me, so we shall see how this goes. I am going to rearrange some of my windows real quick, so I'm not looking like basically over here.
Oh, for sure. I apologize about my desk in the background. It's literally just like study stuff, which is a bummer. Guys, I just want to apologize really, really quick, which it's kind of a fake apology, but I just kind of want to like give you guys more of an update.
We didn't listen to him then.
Rude, but we didn't get. We've been a little bit slow on content creation recently because we've been essentially at half power because I am studying for a big fat test that will ideally get me a new job, but that will make me rich beyond my wildest dreams. No, I'm just kidding. It will give me a moderate pay increase, but it will actually give me a lot more time to focus on the podcast. And do you want to see my? Instead of working on hobby stuff, I have a really fat stack of note cards. You want to see it?
Yeah, I do actually. Those all have questions on them?
Every single one of them.
Oh my gosh, Nathan.
The one on top is the newest card, and it's number 313.
Oh, you numbered them.
I did number them because I'm a dork, and I wanted to know how many note cards I had.
I mean, you have to. I'm glad you decided that. Read us the first note card. Tell us what you're learning.
So I'm taking the CSCS test, which for anyone who doesn't know anything about acronyms, means nothing to anybody who is specifically in my field, but it's a certified strength and conditioning specialist. And this is the hard part is my most recent one. I was doing some notes on sprinting form. And so I wrote down a question that says, when referring to stride length, that is described as, when referring to stride length, this is described as what? Oh my gosh! This is a non-comprehensible note card.
Hands up for me.
I totally can, but I'm holding my microphone, so I don't want to ruin it.
Can you tell me what you smell?
No, I just left out some words and it doesn't make sense. So basically, it's talking about stride length and a common misconception with where you land your foot while sprinting, which I find hilarious because I'm relearning all of the phases of sprinting and stuff, which I haven't read in like 8 years. And if you guys don't know anything about men in our family, we are dangerous over only short distances. So
I might not be able to catch you, but if I do catch you, you're dead.
yeah, pretty much. So that's pretty fun. And I realize that I'm like looking at that card and it makes no sense. So that about shows you the mental fortitude that I am coming in with today as I am just writing nonsense onto my note
Oh
cards,
my gosh.
apparently. So that's good.
That's
That's
good.
really, really
That's
good.
fine.
I would like to open us up really quick and we're going to jump right into the Ahsoka stuff here today. We're talking about episodes 7 and 8, guys. And I just want to say that I think I speak for everyone that is with a very, very heavy heart after watching episode 7 and 8 that Ray Stevenson is no longer there because I think he did just an incredible job of carving his way into all of our hearts as Star Wars fans. With Ahsoka
It
season
actually
one
makes me a
officially
little
under
bit
wraps,
teary. I'm like, oh my
exactly.
gosh.
We the ending of him was absolutely heart-wrenching. We were prepared to dive headfirst into brand new mysteries of the Force with a villain who really wasn't a villain, but Ray, may your memory live on in the hearts of all of us Star Wars fan. It is the least I can say that you made yourself a place in all of our hearts, and we wish you could have brought. We wish we could have seen more of what you were going to bring to the Star Wars universe. So that is a bummer of most epic proportions that Ray Stevenson is no longer with us.
Oh, he did such a good job. He did such a good job. His character was really unprecedented in a lot of ways. We hadn't really seen anything like him. He crushed it. He totally crushed it. He really embodied like this strong, powerful character. And his saying when he says, when I think it's Shin Hati asks him, "Do you miss the Order?" and he says, "I miss the idea of it." Since then, it's kind of been turned into a meme, but that like really hit me because I'm like, oh.
There's quite a lot of implication behind that statement.
Yeah. FYI, just a admin thing. You'll see that in our Twitch stream, it says that Riverside is not recording. That's because we're recording this on Twitch. I'm not double recording it. Not
awesome. That's good.
Not about to crush my upload and download speed like that.
Super fair. And you have the best internet ever, so I'm super here for it.
Fiber, baby. I am... With the passing of Ray Stevenson, without kind of spoiling it, because we haven't really given our spoiler or warning yet, I'm a little shocked they didn't rewrite the story to accommodate that. So I don't know what they're going to do.
I don't know. It's too good not to leave in. Like
agreed.
It's
100%.
It's the cliffhanger of all cliffhangers because Ray Stevenson's character is not going to be there to resolve it, and that is heartbreaking. It's so tough. I really don't want to be this sad about a character, but like he did such a good job. He was so formidable, like clean cut, just an absolute powerhouse. Like, oh, it's gonna be great. Andrew, hit us with our intro really quick because we're gonna go down this rabbit hole for quite a bit if we don't actually transition through.
Sure thing. Welcome to Talk About Tatooine. I'm Andrew.
I'm Nathan.
And we are twin brothers here to bring you what's new in nerddom and give colorful commentary on our favorite subjects. Welcome to our cantina. Grab a drink and settle in as we set course for realities beyond our own.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 45. Today's recording date is October 8th. So to all of our spooky ladies and gentlemen out there, happy October. We're super happy you guys are here with us. We're recording this on the 8th. we're going to release it on the 9th, which is a Monday, which is also tomorrow. We're talking about Ahsoka, episode 7 and 8, which also happens to be the season finale. So there's going to be a ton of spoilers. So just make sure you guys watch out for that. But we're going to start off with our starter questions. Andrew, I want to know what you have been watching recently.
Yeah, we've been going through Sherlock again. The BBC Sherlock series, the miniseries. Each episode is basically a movie. If you want to watch something really spooky, The Hounds of Baskerville is an amazing episode. I want to say it's in the second season. It's amazing.
Oh, it's so good.
It's really
I
good.
love that episode.
It's good enough to where we couldn't find it streaming anywhere, so we bought it.
I like it. Way to go. And it's a classic.
It's so good.
It used to be on Netflix. I don't know if it's on Netflix anymore.
We don't have Netflix, so
That makes sense. We don't need to prop them up. I've been watching as of like 48 hours ago, at least when I have time to watch TV, which is not very much in the last few weeks, is Whose Line Is It Anyway? Because it's on
finally
Max
coming.
now. And I'm
Sweet.
so excited. Literally from like season one, just like as a disclaimer, you guys have to know that some of this comedy came out a long, long time ago. We don't endorse some of that comedy. We've tried to go on record many times to say we are
uh,
people of we are boys of the people. We're here for everybody. Everyone deserves a spot in the fandom. But
that
some of their humor,
uncomfortable, yeah, that uncomfortable
some of their
moment,
humor's a little racist.
that uncomfortable moment when you just kind of have to laugh through something. You're like, oh, that aged like milk. Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah,
Uh,
real bad. But it's kind of funny because Ryan Stiles looks almost exactly the same. So does Wayne Brady, Colin Mockery, same thing, different hair color. Like all of those gentlemen aged super, super well. And I'm just excited to get through and kind of watch all of these because I know that there's a lot of sketches on there that I haven't seen. So I'm super excited to watch that.
yeah, they do a really good job. I'll have to check that out.
That being said, what games have you been playing?
So this is great. You guys have seen what I've been playing. If you watch us here on Twitch, I have been playing on Wednesdays. I'm going through Dark Tide, and Saturday morning I'm starting a Minecraft series. Well, not really a Minecraft series. I'm showing off our Minecraft realm that is available to our Patreon members. I'm doing a holiday themed build, and because I'm not a professional YouTuber whose 9 to 5 job is playing video games, I'm like, I got to get started now if I want to have something ready by Christmas. My hope is that I will have this sort of village built up with games, attractions, and gifts for the members of our Patreon realm.
I'm super excited. In my study breaks, I have been actually hopping back into Minecraft, which has been really fun. And I've also been playing Shadow of War, and I've also been playing Starfield, and I've also been
Ooh,
playing,
Starfield.
gosh, what was the game we were playing the other night? It
Dark Tide.
was Dark Tide. Thank you. And it's all because my family, including yours truly, are all super kind and generous, and they bought me a new Xbox One in September.
The
So I'm a
Series
very happy
X,
boy. Yeah. So
which
I
is, I
can
think,
actually
on the
play
desk
games now.
behind you. Yeah, the refrigerator.
Yeah. So super excited about that. I'm actually gonna once I am done with this freaking test, I'm actually planning on doing some streaming over there because I would like to get some more time in on just like playing through games, doing some achievement hunting, hanging out with people, and just having a good time. So
Yeah,
I'm excited about that. It's gonna be a very, very good time.
agreed. Yeah, and I mean that's the thing. Is like if you guys aren't watching us on Twitch, um, that's probably one of our biggest growing platforms right now, or the platform I should say we're putting some of the most effort into. I'm semi active on Instagram. Social media is not super fun to be on, in my opinion. It's definitely a stretch for me because I don't personally uh, tune into some of those sites on my own. I mostly go to on Instagram to look for memes, and then that's about it.
Super fair. I've actually been trying to avoid social media like crazy, not only because I almost had something spoiled for me before I was able to get to watch episode 7 and 8 of Ahsoka, but
Yeah.
I spend too much time on social media, and I find that every time I hop on, it is like a scrolling trap. And you
Yep.
see one funny meme, and I'm like, I guess I'll just watch 1,000 more. And I'm just I hate getting sucked into that short form content spiral, and
What do
then
they
I
call
find
it? Doom
myself,
scrolling?
yeah, and then I end up like getting out of it, and then I'm like, oh look, I have a notification on a different app, and then I go from like YouTube to TikTok to Instagram. It's not great. Let's move into our third opening question before we thank our patrons for how awesome they are. Andrew, what kind of hobby work have you gotten done recently? I know you're probably pretty excited to talk about this one.
Uh, I'm kind of hobbied out at the moment because I spent the last couple weeks sprinting towards a massive game of Warhammer that we just played. We played a 4-player game of Warhammer that was 1v3, and I brought 6,000 points of Space Marine, and I had to build about 2,000 of that. That I was basically my pile of shame. It was exhausting. I technically won, even though I almost got tabled. Um,
We were so close, dude.
we were very close.
Oh my gosh, we were all
So
strategizing, trying
let
to
them
bring you
know the
down.
objective. Let them know the
So
objective.
the objective was total annihilation. You had to completely wipe the enemy off the board, and it was Andrew playing 6,000 points of Space Marines versus myself, who played about 2,000 points worth of Orc. A buddy of ours who played 2,000 points of Necrons, mostly elite units, and then another buddy of ours who played 2,000 points worth of Tyranids, also mostly elite. So I brought the Horde, and everyone else brought all of the other stuff. So
Mhm.
it was a good time. We lost because we had one more squad of Terminators. There was literally like 3 or 4 models left on the board, and we could not wipe them before turn 5 because it took us an embarrassing amount of time to remove your Terminator bricks from the field, and there was so much coordination. Like every
All
time one of
according to
us
plan.
charged, we got in each other's way, and it was like there was literally just not enough surface area to have enough models in contact. So it was wild. Um, Going back, I probably would have played that a little bit different. I would have saved probably my second or first squad, maybe my first and second squad of either Ludas or Shootas. And I would have just waited an extra turn because I realized there was a turn where I put them on the board and I effectively brought them completely out of the game because they were so far away from everybody. And I was like, oh, cool. Here's like 22 models that I can't use now because I'm a dummy, and deployed them on the backside of the board with an 18-inch range. So whereas I could have brought them in later, literally the next turn, because we killed enough of your units that it opened up room for us to deploy them 9 inches from you and close to a table edge.
Yeah.
So I was a little bummed about that. I just didn't really have the strategic foresight for that. And we probably could have gotten some extra charges and stuff in. Like I could have brought Gaz back into your back lines. I could have got him in probably a whole turn earlier. Just the whole thing.
Which would have really been bad for me because I sent the lion into a blob of Lich Guard, and the Lich Guard won. I couldn't kill him. Necrons be Necroning, and they don't freaking die.
To
Gosh, I
your
hate Necrons.
Yeah, so to your credit though, you threw him in there with like double dreadnought support and a squad of intercessors nearby, and we wiped those guys off the field. Like
Yeah,
I shot super well in that game because I had a kill tank, and my kill tank almost completely obliterated one of those dreads. And
yeah,
so like the lion was kind of left out by himself. So
yep.
I mean, it made sense that he was going to die, but he technically succeeded because it took us so long to kill him that we didn't just like wipe him in one turn. He lasted several rounds of engagement.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, you didn't kill the Lich Guard, but you still won because you survived. So
I basically slowed you guys down enough to where you couldn't kill me fast enough. And the final turn, which was not a very Warhammery thing to do, I just straight up ran away. I took my 2
yeah,
blobs of Terminators, I threw them inside a building so they would get extra saves against shooting, or extra +1 in their armor saves against shooting,
that was so
and
annoying.
they physically couldn't cram enough guys into that building, and it was a big enough building to where I was away from the edges of the building, so they couldn't interact through it. Excuse me.
So annoying.
And basically what had happened is I ended up winning because I was going second, so I just had to survive until my 5th turn with one model, not one unit, one model.
Oh, I was so annoyed.
And I had lost enough guys in that unit to where I was actually outside of engagement range. So in my 5th turn, I if I didn't have to move, so they couldn't overwatch me in my movement step, and I wasn't engaged, so I didn't have to potentially survive another round of fighting.
Hmm. Yep.
It I knew the rules just well enough to get by.
Well, and that was the hard part about our objective is like we were evenly matched, but it didn't matter if we died. Like which there was no way you could have killed all of us. Like
Yeah,
how the game was going, we
you
were
guys
rolling
slaughtered
over
me.
you.
Yeah, if it had been a traditional game of control the objectives, we would have been done by turn 3.
Oh yeah, it would have been an absolute bloodbath.
Yeah.
And frankly, I was really excited about how my orcs played, but it was just one of those things where I was like, man, we just didn't do enough damage. And
Some of your
man,
trucks really screwed me up though, because like you charged them into my lines, and then I couldn't do anything. I like
yeah,
really
that was
struggled to
fun.
kill them. Really not thrilled with how. Uh, I really hate what they did to Oath of Moment
Yeah, that's a
because
feels bad moment.
it's a feels bad moment. Because Oath of Moment with Thunder Hammers, unstoppable amounts of
So
damage.
good. So good.
But now that they took away the wounding, or I guess
Reroll
you
on
still get to
wound.
reroll the hit roll, which is their ballistic skill. But
Yeah, but I mean, we've said before, like the more chances you get to reroll dice, the better.
yep, that's
So
the big thing with 10th edition. You want to be mobile. You want to battle shock your enemy, and you want to reroll dice. That's how
indeed.
you win games.
All right, guys, we're going to get into the main body of our podcast here today. We just want to say a huge thank you to our top patrons, Mike and Isaac. If you guys are listening to the podcast and you guys have not supported us yet, please join up here, guys. We would be super excited for all of the new support. We just did a giveaway and didn't really work. That was kind of a bummer. It fell a little bit flat, but we were giving away some Lego sets to new patrons. We didn't get any,
Dice
but that's all
sets.
right. Dice sets, thank you. I was thinking Lego sets for some reason, but we're hoping to give away more stuff here in the future. So if you guys are having fun and listening to the podcast, looking at our beautiful faces on YouTube, wherever it might be, please think about supporting us here, guys. For just $5 a month, you can support the podcast so we can do more giveaways. We've got game servers for our Minecraft realm. So if you guys like the content we do live, you can actually participate in that realm if you're a part of the Patreon. And it's going to help us get higher quality content out there as well. So again, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you guys all so much. Let's get right into it. Now is your spoiler warning. If you have not watched episodes 7 and 8, or really any of Ahsoka, you are no longer safe from spoilers. We are going to start throwing things out there that are going to ruin it if you don't eject now. So
Yep.
if you're listening to this like on your AirPods and for some reason you put your phone on the other side of the room, but you're taking a poop in the other room and you're trying to wipe as fast as you can, you gotta press the play button on those headphones so that
Jeez,
stops
dude.
playing. Now is the time to get out of there. No, seriously, let's get right into it. So essentially what brings us into episode 7 and 8 is Ahsoka arrives on Peridia and Sabine locates Ezra. Like we see the man, the myth, the legend himself, and Thrawn's getting ready to leave and return to the galaxy. And so we're really looking at what happens next to our band of heroes as they face off against Thrawn. And again, spoilers, the ascendant Morgan Elsbeth. Super excited.
She's scary.
So she's great. Go ahead and let's get started. We're going to start off with episode 7. This one is Dreams and Madness.
Mm-hmm.
Love the episode titles, by the way. Absolutely fantastic. Andrew, go ahead and hit us with your rating 1 out of 10, please.
I would have to give this one an 8. Really into it. It hurt my heart a little bit to see the star whales get space mined. That was like,
Yeah, that hurt.
I'm like, oh no. No one told
These
James
guys have got to
Cameron.
be these guys have got to be endangered.
Yeah, for sure. That was a little hard to watch, but it was also like it kind of shows like Thrawn is not going to let an probably endangered species stand in his way.
Yeah, he's like, I don't care. Which, to be fair, that's the tactical choice. Um,
Yeah.
oh, I love Thrawn.
He's
Lars Mikkelsen is
gosh.
amazing. They did a great job casting for this.
Thrawn is going to be the Thanos of Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see some really big stuff, and he's working with garbage resources and he still succeeds, which I was really surprised about. Like I wasn't really surprised. Like he's doing a great job. I also gave
Yeah.
this an 8 out of 10. I really really liked it. There was a few things that I like wasn't super crazy about. Um, Mostly, I didn't like how the episode started off with the courtroom scene. Senator Ziono has a very punchable face,
Yeah, he
and
does.
I just want to hit him. Um, it's just really annoying because they live in a world where like magic exists, and he's like complaining about stories of fairy tales and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, have you lived under a space rock for the last like 30 years? Do you even know what happened? This is crazy. So I was kind of annoyed with that. I don't really like the whole New Republic is super impotent. They can't really do anything and they're super clueless because it's going to end up that if Thrawn comes back, that they're going to be doomed. Like he's going to roll over them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the same protections that the rebels did. The rebels could operate clandestinely. They could operate with guerrilla tactics. The New Republic's like, oh shoot, we have to be respectable now. We can't just commit war crimes whenever we want. Speaking of war criminals, we love you, Chopper. And it was just like, what are they gonna do? They're so dead.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no way they're going to stand up against Thrawn. I love, love, love everything about the moment Thrawn stepped on screen. I was like giggling. I was so happy. Um, I
He's
really
fabulous.
when Enoch comes onto screen, who's the first person you thought of?
I'm not sure. I was there's a few different like franchises that like semi came to mind, but I'm not sure where you're leading me with that question.
My first thought when I saw Enoch was, "Oh my gosh, that's the death mask of Sanguinius." I was like, "He looks like Lord
Oh.
Commander Dante," and that's a good look for a stormtrooper.
He does look like Dante. Yes, that is if that's where they took the inspiration, they're like, "Hey guys, you know this other nerdy franchise that does some really cool dark stuff? We should steal some of that."
Yeah. Apparently, where it's actually more likely from is one of the guys on our Patreon actually, or our patron Discord showed me. He's like, hey, this is actually, I think, like a Roman Empire thing. And then we immediately went down the rabbit hole of like, the average man thinks about the Roman Empire like once a week or something.
It comes up on my feed quite a lot. They're like,
Uh,
"Have you thought about the Roman Empire today?" And I was like, "I am now. Sure do love
yeah,
me a
it's
good
like I have
phalanx."
now. Uh,
Yes, we do think about the Roman Empire quite a bit. That is a confirmed man fact, is how it's being portrayed currently. Andrew, I had some. I mean, overall, I just like other than the court scene, I really love this episode.
mhm.
I had so many different favorite moments, but I want to hear some more from you.
I I was really happy with the direction they took with Balin and Shin. It
Yeah.
is not often that a person as smart. Listen, we kind of talked a little bit about in one of our previous episodes that imagine Thrawn to have the intellect and the insight of Sherlock Holmes, but with uh, less scruples. And so for someone like Thrawn to be kind of put off a little bit by like, oh, where's Balin? Like, what is he doing? Like, it just shows how mysterious of a character Balin's skull is, because like Thrawn was like, I thought this guy was working for us. He's doing his own thing, and he's
Yeah,
like,
because up until this point,
okay,
he's been taking orders from Morgan Elsbeth very, very politely. Like
mm-hmm,
he is doing her bidding.
mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, the whole time he's like, "Nope, I have an agenda of my own. Like I know what I'm here for."
Which wasn't totally obvious, and I think that's good because once once I realized that he's kind of doing his own thing, I was like, wait, more is going on with Peridia as a planet than I think I realize. And Shin doesn't really understand what he's doing because she's like, you promised me power. Where's the power? But she is still basically being the lapdog of Thrawn, gets left on that planet.
She gets shafted
Yeah,
in that situation. Absolutely, just like, hey, you don't matter at all. Like, you are inconsequential. And I felt so bad for her, especially since like half of the Star Wars fandom has a crush on Shin Hati right now. So I'm like, I'm sorry, what?
I didn't say anything.
You want to say the louder into the mic?
No, I do not.
Uh, I don't have a way to go back and edit that and make that louder either, which is kind of a bummer.
I do not
So
want to perjure myself.
super fair, but she's first of all super cool, but also like she's yeah, she got shafted. So that also means she is potentially I'm a lot of what I'm saying is going to be kind of mixing 7 and 8 up in my mind
For
because
sure.
in my mind
It's, I mean,
they're
yeah, we've seen both
I
of
watched
them.
them I watched them both at the same time. So
Yeah.
that was hard for me to differentiate when I'm looking back and trying to make like cognizant notes. And she is, I mean, essentially, she's on her redemption arc.
Mm-hmm.
She is going to. Here's my theory for season 2:
Hit
is
me with it.
she's gonna be a good guy in season 2. She is going to
Mm.
like meet up with Sabine because she's tried to kill Sabine and Ahsoka multiple times now. Like it wasn't just like a they're on opposite sides of the field and they're like staring at each other, and then the final end they finally clash and somebody wins and somebody dies. It's like nope, they tried to fight multiple times, very similar
Yeah.
to how like Anakin and Asajj Ventress clash quite a few times,
Yep.
and they just barely escape and they get just keep going after it. We see the same thing, and she is going to. I think with Ahsoka being much more of a neutral Jedi, not or I should say a neutral Force user, because she's definitely not a Jedi, is that she's gonna Shin Hati is going to be on a redemption arc. I think she is going to turn to the light
Mm-hmm.
because that's ultimately the side of the Force that Ahsoka serves, even though she's a light side Force user, but
Mm-hmm.
not a Jedi, if that makes sense. So,
Right.
which is funny because Sabine is now also like on the official Star Wars wiki. Everyone was like, Sabine's officially classified as a Jedi, which I'm like, yeah, guys, they were building up to that the entire season.
I
Like,
can't believe this happened. It's like, really?
she used the Force. And I'm like,
Are you
yeah,
sure
dude.
about
Like,
that?
gosh, I hate that meme.
I love
But
it so much.
yeah, that's not a big surprise that she was able to use the Force, right? Like, were you surprised about that?
No, I was like, oh, finally it happened.
I was kind of hoping they were going to do something a little bit more spectacular, but it was like, it reminded me very similar to Luke in episode 5, where he is hanging upside down in the Wampa nest and he's like trying to get his lightsaber back.
Yeah,
And it's
Luke
like, it's do or
Skywalker,
die
who,
right now.
yeah, Luke Skywalker, who is arguably one of the strongest Force users in the entire Star Wars canon, doesn't even figure out that he can use the Force until he's already an adult. So there's a strong precedence for this, i.e.,
Yeah.
the freaking title character, Luke Star Wars Skywalker, is his middle name. I bet you
Yeah,
didn't know
pretty
that.
much. So, yeah, I mean, that's like super common for like not common, but it's in the new age where the Jedi Order is no longer like, yeah, that's how Force users are going to come around, man,
Mm-hmm.
because they're not getting kidnapped as babies anymore. And they're probably just like, hey, I'm really good at combat. Like, we see Sabine so many times, like, deflect blaster bolts with her, like, gauntlets and stuff. And I'm like, I know that's a Mandalorian skill, but it's with Jedi reflexes. And it's very obvious.
Yeah,
Like,
because at
she's an
first,
excellent fighter.
she's if sorry, I'm kind of getting my wires crossed a little bit. Here's the thing: is like I couldn't quite tell when she was blocking blaster bolts with her gauntlets if she was basically having that boxer reaction where what's the first thing they're gonna do? Protect your face, you know? So that could just be like a lucky shot where she's like, oh, I'm gonna protect my face because the rest of her body is fine. Like, especially if she wasn't wearing her helmet, the guy was like, I'm just gonna pop her right in the face, and she's like, nope. But I also saw it and I was like, that looked like Force sensitivity. I can't prove it, but I think that was it. I think that was
Yeah,
the first instance where she really uses the Force.
I'm sure there's probably videos on YouTube that are like, here are all the times you actually missed Sabine using the Force, and it actually
Probably.
nobody knew.
Yeah,
Like, there's so many people who just like go in and they're like, it's all an Easter egg. And I'm like, it's not all an Easter egg. Like,
for sure.
most of these are very overt call outs to other thing. Whereas like an Easter egg is supposed to be something super covert that like you put in the background. It takes a lot of work to find.
Mm.
Um, yeah. Having all those things, I'm like, those aren't Easter eggs. Those are
That's
just
just the Star Wars universe.
that's fan service right there. It's different.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. I just broke a Ziploc bag that I was twiddling with on my desk, and now it doesn't close. Good. And it's full of tiny rocks for Warhammer. Crap.
Nice.
That's what I get for screwing with stuff. Least favorite parts of this episode.
Uh, just the New Republic being a bunch of idiots. Straight up,
Yeah.
Senator
Ziono.
Ziono, thank you.
Z-
Um, he's just super annoying, and he's probably going to get in the way when season 2 comes around and Thrawn's like, hey, I'm back. He's probably going to rally the Imperial Remnant. Like, every Imperial Remnant that isn't currently on their...
I'm talking to chat. I see
Oh,
you, chat.
gotcha. Easter egg or world building. Thanks, May. I was like, who are you making kissy faces to? Oh, yeah, it's our wonderful chat.
What's up, dude?
Um,
What's
yeah,
up,
what's up?
homie?
So, dude, that totally derailed me. What was I even
I'm so
saying?
sorry. We were talking about how the New Republic sucks.
Yeah. So, any forces that Thrawn is able to rally to his cause are going to probably be this is going to be the transition conflict between the Empire and the First Order. Like,
Mhm.
just straight up.
Yeah,
That's how that's going to happen. So,
and I mean, they're going to be successful because the First Order is very successful.
yes, this First Order is able to do a lot of stuff because they are essentially operating in wild space, and the New Republic's too lazy to stop them. And they've definitely built that into the world pretty thoroughly at this point. So,
So I'm actually really glad you brought up the New Republic because I get a little upset anytime the New Republic gets on screen because the rebellion worked so hard to restore the Republic and then they screwed it up. They screwed the pooch immediately. Like they basically filled up their government. They're like, "Hey, we're basically going to turn uh like take the exact same form of government that we had before, staffed by the same exact people, and but we're going to try to be better somehow."
well, and the funny thing is the New Republic is trying to operate as the Old Republic, but the key difference is like the Old Republic had a history of going to war, marshaling its forces, where, like,
Yes.
since they've transitioned away from the Alliance to restore to the Republic to the actual New Republic, it's like they they demilitarize themselves way too quick. And also they don't have the Jedi Order to protect them. Like, the
I
Old
should
Republic was able to like narrow down its military might because they're like, hey, we actually have a bunch of space wizards that like patrol our borders.
yeah.
So like if we need to, we have a little bit of time we can buy.
So the original narrative when the Disney canon started is that the New Republic was demilitarized, and I think they've shifted the narrative to being the New Republic military is decentralized. It is no longer the military giant that the Empire was. Like they still have a navy, they still create ships, but because their goal is basically not to have an iron fist around the galaxy. They're like, oh, we don't need that. Um, which is that's a tough piece of foreign policy to float because in a galaxy constantly at war, I feel like you could pretty easily justify a very large military budget and a very large military presence. So to
It makes
immediately,
no sense for the New Republic to be like, hey, we don't need all these big ships anymore. Like, just don't be the Empire. Just don't make slaves of everybody, but keep the ships around. Like,
Yeah.
it makes no sense. No sense.
I think we could probably do about 1,000 episodes on how we think the New Republic should have done things. Um, so
They
I'm,
should have elected me. I should have been in power.
but yeah, I think that's sort of the problem, is that they're basically just a worse form of the Empire. Because yes, the Empire did terrible things, but it was able to, for the most part, secure its borders. Um, because let's get this clear, the rebels didn't conquer the Empire; they subverted it. They cut off
Indeed.
the head of its leadership, and they watched it crumble from inside itself because of how corrupt and dead it was inside. So basically, it turned off into these fragments, and we see this in the Legends continuity, where a lot of the Grand Admirals became warlords. They started grabbing up systems and becoming their own little fiefdoms. But that's sort of what the New Republic did. They didn't have the warlords, but they shattered this system and then came back in, and you had all these disparate parts that don't know how to work together.
And you know what the Empire had that the rebels never did? A really strong logistical and administrative system.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they were military dictators,
Mm-hmm.
but they also had really good resource management.
Yes.
And it's like, you guys, we see this in like the first episode, because Hera is like going over to the or to the scrapyard facility, and they're
Mm-hmm.
like, "Hey, these Imperial uh, sympathizers were like, hey, we're actually just going to steal a bunch of hyperdrive units, and there's no one in the New Republic that can stop us. So let's just take them because they're using our systems, they're using our people. Like, we're not even a generation removed from this yet, from this system. We all know how this works." And they were like, yeah, we know how to like subvert this system. Let's
Mm-hmm.
just send over these giant ass hyperdrives over to this other planet, and no one will even know that they're missing. The only reason they knew that they were missing is because they literally had eyewitnesses that they had to try to kill. So
Yeah, the level of oversight for that level of scrap project, because they weren't scrapping regular Star Destroyers. They were scrapping the hyperdrives off of a super Star Destroyer, one of the most coveted resource in the galaxy, nay, the most coveted naval resource in the galaxy, except for the Death Star.
there's like what, 13 of them total?
There's a very limited amount, and I
Yeah.
mean, they
There is
were
a baker's dozen of super star destroyers and literally thousands of planets in the galaxy.
and those 13 super Star Destroyers could handle those thousands of planets. They were so strong. I mean, they were one man armies is really what they were.
Which also, fun plug, we have an episode series on Imperial class Star Destroyers. If you guys want to, go check that out on YouTube. Thank you so much.
Please and thank
But
you.
yeah, they're seriously, they're like floating cities of Imperial might. And here's the thing, the rebels could have just downgraded. They could have gone back to the Venator class ships, because the Venator ships were still really, really effective for what
Mm-hmm.
the New Republic would have needed, which would have been like small planetary disputes and things like pirate uprisings, things like that. And then like maybe small territory disputes with like different warlords and like Imperial remnants. They would have done fine with Venator class ships, because the Venator class ship is remarkably smaller than the Imperial class Star Destroyer. So much smaller. And they could have just downgraded and still had a formidable force. And I don't know, we're going to see something very interesting happen when everything switches over and
For
we go
sure.
into season 2.
So we're talking a lot about a lot of in universe details, and something I want to make a comment about is I think Dave Filoni is doing an amazing job of taking something that in universe doesn't make sense, i.e., the New Republic and how it's being governed, and how they wrote, how Disney, that's the they I'm talking about, wrote this new government to be. And it was like, yeah, this doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really make a lot of sense how the First Order was basically able to just, excuse me, burped. How the First Order was able to rise out of nothing, and now here they are. And Dave Filoni is like, okay, I have to take this not very inventive storyline and I have to make it better. And I think
Mhm.
he's crushing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He is batting 1,000 right now, if you ask me. And he's doing great. I totally agree. 100%.
He honestly, he's like Brad Pitt in Moneyball. He's taking a terrible team and he's using the resources that he's giving and he's getting guys on base.
Give me those numbers, baby.
Give me those numbers. Stats wins baseball. I love that movie so much. Anyway,
I don't have anything else to say specifically about episode 7. Do you want to move us into episode 8?
yeah, I think we should move into episode 8. This episode is called The Jedi, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which is an obvious
It's
call out.
the warlord. The warlord is
I said
not the.
wardrobe. Oh my gosh.
You did.
Crap. I read it like 15 times and I was like, yeah, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It's like, that's not what it says on the paper. It says the Jedi, the Witch, and the War Lord.
There's so many of us that are conditioned to read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe from that. When I first read it, I was like, oh, cool. And then I was like, that's not the words. Okay. My bad. Yeah. Very obvious homage to C.S. Lewis and his remarkable hit, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Yeah. Very good. May in the chat is saying, I literally laughed out loud. So glad I could be there. So I haven't actually,
he says.
I haven't actually rewatched that episode looking for the parallels between that story and this episode. I only watched it once. I usually watch the episodes 2 to 3 times before we record, but it just wasn't in the cards this time.
Oh, I had no time to rewatch it. I felt
Yeah.
I really wanted to. I was like, okay, today I'm going to study for this amount of time, and then I'm going to watch episode 7, and then I'm going to study for this amount of time. Then I'm going to watch episode 8, and then the day flew by, and I was like, I guess I'm doing none of that.
Yeah, I spent the day basically being half unconscious, like trying to stay awake on the couch because I was so tired. For whatever reason, I'm just super tired now. There's probably a physiological reason, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Nathan, give me your rating 1 out of 10 for episode 8, The Jedi, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
I went 8 for 8 on this one. Rating of 8 for episode 8.
It's a scale of 8, because why not?
I had there was a few things I didn't like about this episode, and it was now I'm thinking through this, and an 8 doesn't seem fair. I might have to scratch that and go 9 because we had zombies in this. We had literally like I love that they timed this time of year because they had the spookiest episode of a Star Wars show we've had so far since the Separatist invasion of Dathomir. And I'm
Spook me harder, Daddy Filoni.
I'm gonna go home now.
That is not even close to the weirdest thing I've said on camera.
It's not. I've said weirder stuff than that, but I was like, oh, he said daddy. Now I have to act like I'm upset about it, even though I'm like, nice. But
nice.
So I'm gonna give it a 9. So mostly just because of how this episode ended, you knew where it was going, but I thought they did this really well. Morgan Elsbeth's sword, the blade of Talzin. I'm like, nice. Awesome. So that's an homage to anyone who's watched the Clone Wars, because if you've never watched the Clone Wars, you're like, what's a Talzin? What is that? Like, what kind of word is that?
What and you're like, where is a Talzin?
Yeah, you're like, that's the Night Mother. Very, very cool. And the fact that these Night Mothers over on this planet are able to summon relics from a different galaxy, I'm like, that's super cool. So I predicted at the beginning of the season we were going to see new force powers. That's my new force power that I had no idea. I was half right. I thought we were going to get new force powers, which we did, but it didn't come from Ezra, because that was my initial prediction, is Ezra was going to learn new force powers, which Ezra is a master of the Force. Blocking the lightsaber with his hands, I'm like, oh yes.
It was one step away from being that Old Republic trailer where Satele Shan literally just like blocks a lightsaber stab with her palm, and the blade is like cracking up the length of it. Amazing. I was like, yay, it's happening. It's happening.
My
Yeah,
biggest thing, I have one thing to add before I'll hand this over to you, is I was listening to some other podcasts about this
sure.
episode in particular, and there were some fans that were upset that Hugh Yang knew sort of who Kanan Jarrus was, but also knew him as Caleb Dune. They're like, he wasn't there for that. These fans were complaining that they like he wouldn't have been able to make that connection automatically. And I'm like, he's been hanging out with Ahsoka, who knows all this information for who knows how long. Why wouldn't she have just told him, like, hey, by the way, like, I'm going to give you a summary of everything that's gone over, like what's happened in the last few years? And there are fans getting really upset about this. Like, and
Yeah,
you
that's
fans can
dumb.
at me on this. Like, guys, like,
That's
fill in
dumb.
the blanks. Not everything has to be spelled out for you. So I was kind of annoyed that people decided that that's where they were going to pick their fights, and it seemed like a very logical thing to assume that Sabine had probably filled in Hugh Yang on that piece of information already, that Kanan Jarrus slash Caleb Doom was Ezra Bridger's master, and this is when we were talking about and seeing Ezra rebuild his lightsaber. So
Give me 5 seconds. Apparently, there was our house just shook, like the whole thing, and I didn't feel it. So give me like 2 seconds to talk to my wife.
sweet, we're going to hang out with chat for a little bit. So if you guys are in chat, now is a great time to post any questions. Um, we have been getting a decent amount of feedback from you guys, from Twitch, from Instagram, all those different things. So I'll pull up kind of some correspondence I've gotten from you guys already. So let me see really quick. Do it, do it, do it. There we go. We switch over to the right profile. Do. Oh, I sent it in the wrong profile, didn't I? Guys, we have too many Instagram accounts. Oh man. Okay. So I don't want to spoil it anymore, but I was asking one of our another fan of the podcast, who's a very very close friend of mine, who he's probably actually going to listen to this later. I don't want to dox anybody on public, so out in public, so I won't mention that. But I've been hearing from a lot of our fans of the show that people have really been enjoying this season so far. So I'm really glad to see that everyone's really liking this. So, and I filled enough time so that Andrew is back. So Andrew, let me know what kind of is your house breaking?
My house is fine, because so Sarah came down and was like, "Hey, like something just shook our house, like our entire house." And I said, "Hey, I didn't see anything down here. Check the local police department Twitter page to see if anything happened." I'm guessing it was a nearby explosion. Um, we are we can hear the horns from the naval base that we are near. Um, so like hopefully we're not about to just like die, but I'll finish the episode and then I'll see what's going on.
Cool. Glad you're doing your duty for the podcast and the show and the fans. So appreciate that. Um, give us a favorite moment from this episode, if you have any. I'm assuming. Actually, no. Give me your rating out of 10. I haven't heard your rating out of 10 yet, unless you said it already and I missed
No,
it.
I'm gonna give it a 9, same as you. The only downside and the only reason I'm not giving this a 10 is stormtroopers are bad at fighting. It's the combat choreography for stormtroopers is bad, and it always kind of has been bad, and it takes me out of it a little bit. The fighting with the Jedi or any really force user or lightsaber combat is usually really stellar, but it's very clear that Star Wars maybe isn't using uh, combat consultants to say this is how your soldiers should look and behave.
Yeah, you have Hollywood directors deciding how they should behave.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, you like if you're filming this in California, you have nearby military bases. I'm
Mm.
sure there is somebody on staff in either the Army, Marines, Navy, Air Force, anyone but the Space Force, basically, that would be delighted to lend their professional expertise. So I was actually I'm glad you brought that up because I was a little bit annoyed about how the stormtroopers fought as well. It was very rebels-esque, whereas you're like, oh, they're gonna kill all these stormtroopers. The stormtroopers aren't gonna do any damage at all. We kind of knew that. And I was a little bit bummed because Thrawn is an excellent fighter. And I was kind of hoping you were gonna see the tactics, the precision, the speed that Thrawn normally operates with in his night troopers. I was really hoping we were going to get that. And then as they died and then got reanimated, then it would be appropriate for them to like be slow and lumbering and like the classic zombie night trooper that we definitely got. So I was a little bit bummed about that as well. But the stormtrooper scenes are they did their purpose essentially, is they were meant to slow everybody down.
Yeah, and it was a little unclear to me that that's what their goal was to slow them down. Um, I definitely thought Ezra was not going to make that jump when he was jumping on the Star Destroyer, and I was a little confused as to when they got back to the regular galaxy, and Thrawn wasn't worried about Ezra at all. It's like, wait, Ezra's on that ship though. What happened? And then Ezra basically took a shuttle and bailed as soon as he could. Which
Does Thrawn know that Ezra was on the ship? Like there were
probably,
stormtroopers attached to the ship, so he'll probably infer something.
it, my guess is that little interchange probably didn't make the final cut because they were running short on time. And my guess is that if Thrawn was monitoring comm traffic, he would have absolutely put two and two together.
Yeah.
He's not stupid.
Although the irony is that the entire group is now switched. So
Yeah,
Sabine, Ahsoka, Balin, and Shin Hati are all in the wrong galaxy,
yeah,
and everyone who started in one galaxy take all your people from one galaxy and push them somewhere else.
yeah,
That's essentially what happened. Is they Patrick starred all of the cast into the other galaxy. So
yeah. However, now
yeah,
they know they have a way back because if Ahsoka can get her ship working, my guess is if they can find more star whales, they can get back. Or they'll use the world between worlds.
they're totally going to use the world between worlds. Oh,
You think so?
100%. Oh, I that's yeah. They're teeing that one up for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because you know what? We saw that giant statue of the father in episode 8, and I was like, because it was the
So
father
excited.
and the son, but the daughter was missing. I
The
didn't see
daughter
the
was absent. Oh, I was so excited about
yeah.
that. I was like, is this world, dare I say, out of balance? Hmm? So
Well, if
I'm super excited. Again, if you guys have not seen the Mortis mini time, like the mini series from Clones, that is directly
the
talking about
episode arc of Mortis.
the episode arc. Thank you. I don't know why I said mini series because I'm dumb and my brain
Yeah,
is
it's
shut.
fine.
And if you guys haven't watched that, you need to go watch it. You don't need to, but you're gonna get a lot out of it. Sorry, try not to be that guy.
Yeah, but you know, I feel like we should probably do a Clone Wars rewatch for season 2 saying, okay, this is what we know about Mortis, this is what we know about the world between worlds, and what we can expect, and maybe what we can't expect. Because if you notice something about, so in the Mortis episode arc is completely something out of Dave Filoni's imagination, I believe. He's the one who brought it into existence. So how it is in its current form, even if it did have like some um inspiration on some of George Lucas's original desires about what the Force would be, Dave Filoni is the one who brought it into existence.
Yeah,
And
for
he's the
sure.
showrunner for Ahsoka. So we're seeing his vision for what the Force should be come to life. And one thing I want to point out, which has a lot of people on the internet kind of theorizing right now, is the Mortis gods is the father, the daughter, and the son. What's missing?
The daughter?
The mother. Who is the mother?
Oh. I thought you meant like the statues. Yeah, I guess there is the father, the daughter, the son. So yeah, who would be the mother?
There's some talk that the mother is going to be a creature named Abeloth, which is a very deep cut to the Star Wars EU. Abeloth is a dumb name. I'm
Sweet.
gonna just throw that
That
out
is,
there.
it, that is,
I think it sounds dumb.
can we call her Abby? Is that fine?
Well, she's like a force demon. She's really scary. Like,
Oh, I love that.
imagine like one of the. Do you remember the band Chelsea Grin, where it's like the smile that goes all the way up the face, and she just has this maw of razor sharp teeth and just cold black eyes. Yeah,
Yes.
she's basically a force demon. I've only watched a couple videos about her. I haven't read the books that she actually appears in. It's a little complicated, but essentially, like, Luke Skywalker has to like team up with some new Sith lords to vanquish her. And like, I think he turns to the dark side in the process, but she's crazy. So the father, so kind of going back, if the father is the one who keeps the daughter and the son in balance, then the mother is trying to rip them apart, which is probably
Yeah.
why she's absent. My guess is probably because the father somehow learned to banish her because he couldn't keep the daughter and the son, i.e., the light and the dark sides of the force, respectively, in balance. And she is a force of imbalance.
Oh, that's gonna be cool.
It's going to be
Dude, they
cool.
like get as mystical as possible with it.
Mm.
Like just
It's going to be weird.
yeah. Fun aside, we experienced live a 4.2 earthquake.
Just now?
Yeah, you did
Oh, what
at
was an earthquake?
7:21. Yeah, 12 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah, Sarah
6
just
miles
messaged me.
from Freeland, Washington. 4.2.
Hmm.
Wild stuff.
Crazy. You saw it happen. Well, maybe you saw it. I didn't see it or hear it or feel it. My wife did.
I didn't feel it. I'm
Congrats.
too
Too far away.
according to the Google map that this shows up on, we were too far south to feel it.
Gotcha.
So,
Hey, at least it wasn't the big
anyways,
one.
oh gosh, yeah, the one that splits Mount Rainier open and I can't go to work tomorrow. Maybe that's a good thing. No, just kidding.
I was like, no, because then we
Intrusive thoughts
die.
went out on that one. We wouldn't die. We're too high up for that.
Well, complications
We
from ash would be
we wouldn't die
catastrophic.
immediately. We'd probably die in a couple months unless we became climate refugees, which would be dope.
I don't think you understand what dope means.
No, I have the inability to comprehend words at this point because I have literally been reading since 7:30 this morning, which now I'm looking at the clock was 12 hours ago.
Okay, well, I will tell Cave Brand? Dang it. I'm going to tell Caveman Brain Nathan that if the mountain explodes, you don't have internet access anymore.
Yeah, it's fair.
No. You can't play Shadow of War. Actually, you probably still could.
I'd be more concerned at this point if they would still let me take my test, but
It's true. It's true.
But yeah, other than that, I think like as far as like what else is going to happen next, the only other things I haven't said, I like the Republic's going to be on a war footing, which is going to be super fun. We're going to see a new galactic war. Awesome. Ezra's going to lead the fight against Thrawn, and I think Sabine will continue to attune to her force powers. It's going to be cool. She might even end up with a dark saber again.
That'd be cool.
No, she won't, because then she would have to fight
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan for it, and I don't like that.
Yeah, actually, now that you say that, I don't think that's very likely. Because Filoni does have his hands in the Mandalorian pie as well, so he's kind of puppeteering everything right now, and I don't think he's gonna have
season
them fight
2
over
of
it.
Ahsoka or season gosh, what would it be? 4 of Mandalorian. Bo-Katan dies, and Sabine takes up the mantle and leads the Mandalorians in the war against Thrawn. Yeah, yeah.
I'd be so sad.
I'd be sad too, but that's how they make good TV.
Yes.
Although I'd be
When your characters can die,
mortified if Bo-Katan got killed. She's amazing.
she's great.
What's her name? Wins. Who plays Bo-Katan?
It's on the tip of my tongue.
Let me see. Katie Sackhoff
Yes, thank you.
is absolutely wonderful and very funny. She does some pretty funny stuff.
Yes.
She's got a good sense of humor. So I'd be really sad if Bo-Katan got dead.
Yeah, Star Wars is killing it with a lot of the female leads right now. Like, they're really likable, they're awesome, they're badass.
Indeed.
So,
They're
really happy
They're
with
bringing
that.
balance back to the Star Wars cinematic universe.
Here's the thing. In chat, you can join in on this. What are the odds that Ahsoka creates her own... I don't even want to call it a Jedi Academy, but her own Jedi Academy.
Doesn't Luke have one, sort of?
Yes.
Because that's when Ben/Kylo officially revolts, kind of.
Correct. But we know Ahsoka knows of the existence of what Luke is doing, but she's specifically not a part of it.
Because the Jedi suck.
Yeah, because I think she... chat says low. It's low odds. Ahsoka would be a very dangerous master to have because she has basically come to a place where she has taken someone who is, for all intents and purposes, not force sensitive, and has unlocked that capability within that person. I don't know if Ahsoka would do a Jedi Order. Yeah, I completely agree. I think it would be her own. It'd be her own thing.
I think it would be light side Force users, because
Yeah.
she's very much light side still. Like, she has that moral guidance and ethos of the Jedi, but the Jedi were a fundamentally flawed society. So
Yeah. A lot of people have said, like, oh, because she's a quote unquote gray Jedi. I was like, I don't like gray because she's not gray. She is very much a light side Jedi. She's not in the middle. She's not true neutral.
Yeah. And she's just not, she's not a Jedi. To call her a Jedi is mislabeling.
Yeah, and that's really why I don't like the gray Jedi label. One, because it implies neutrality and it uses the Jedi name, and I'm like, both of those things are inaccurate.
It is.
Although, if she made her own order and called them the Grey Knights, I'd be pretty happy, because that's a Warhammer thing, and... Spaloosh.
And with that, we're done, everybody. No, I seriously though, I don't have anything else to add. I think we nailed this one, and we're right about at an hour 8 minutes. So, it's always gray Jedi, this gray Jedi, that. What about gray Siths?
That's essentially what Baylan Skoll is.
Yeah, I guess, because he's not Sith. Like, he doesn't have the class. Like, he has a red lightsaber. Also, have you noticed that Shin Hattie's lightsaber is orange? It's not the traditional red.
Yeah, they both have orange lightsabers.
Yeah. So they're like dark adjacent.
Yeah. I mean, that's 100% what that is supposed to mean. It's unclear if Baylan Skoll's lightsaber is supposed to be orange or if he turned it orange, because red lightsaber crystals technically don't exist. What dark side users do is they take regular crystals and they corrupt them.
Yeah.
Or a Sith would say it's improved, but
it would have been cooler if Shin Hattie had a purple lightsaber and Baylan had an orange one, because then they'd be repping our podcast colors.
That'd be dope.
Because purple, other than a small concession to Samuel L. Jackson, in the lore is supposed to be associated with being close to the dark side, because it's blue shaded with red.
Yep.
And the blue is associated with the Guardian type Jedi, who Guardians tend to focus on the mastery of combat more than anything else.
Yep.
So, fun fact.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's all I got for you. Do we have any more HoloNet news?
Oh, dude, I have not been able to keep up on stuff just because I'm taking my test in 2 days, but I am super excited to literally just dive back into everything, like get some streaming on the calendar. Like I'm ready to like talk about like more Warhammer stuff.
For sure.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I need this test to be over.
Yeah, we're going to
I
be
have
working
so
on,
little functioning brain cells.
for sure. Some of the stuff we have in the pipeline is we're going to be working on our uh, Warhammer Leader Showdown. That is going to be a multi-part series because there's a lot of data to go through, and we're going to hopefully talk about some of the lore of the characters that we go through as well. But pretty much that's it. The games that we've been kind of hyping for a while are all out now. We still don't have a date on Star Wars Outlaws or Space Marine 2. Once we do, we're going to be hitting that pretty hard.
Yeah, we're going to try to stream that literally as much as possible. So that is going to be a fantastic time. Let me see. I think since we are doing this on Twitch, we're going to hit it with an outro really quick. And then I think it would be most appropriate to send this out and raid. Oh, except I realize I'm on my moderator channel, not
I'll
the
raid
Talk
us.
About
Yeah,
Tatooine
I'll
channel.
find a
So
raid while
go
you
ahead and raid.
outro us.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much for watching. Every single one of you is beautiful and amazing. Talking to you, chat. May 22123. So handsome, so smart. My goodness. Can we get more of you? Guys, make sure to leave your theories in the comments or just share them straight up on screen. That's the fun part about doing this on Twitch is we can live react to your comments, and we'd love to do that more often. If you guys are nerds just like us and you guys enjoy model painting, whether or not that's for Warhammer, D&D, Star Wars Legions, whatever it might be, share us pictures on Twitter and Instagram. Shoot us an email at talkabouttatooine@gmail.com if you have questions you want featured. Make sure to subscribe here, guys, and hit the follower button. We're trying to affiliate actually on Twitch as well, so that way we can start getting some alternative revenue sources for this podcast, and then we can bring you guys higher quality content. Make sure you guys do all those things, like, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. Honestly, may the force be with you, everybody. Thank you guys for hanging out with us for so long. We appreciate every single one of you. And Andrew, who are we going to raid?
We're going to be jumping over to... we're going to try a Marvel Snap channel. This is going to be Captain Kerr. He's currently has 200 people watching his channel right now, so we're going to jump over to his channel to raid it because Marvel Snap is in a really good place right now. Better than it was a couple weeks ago, so...
Awesome. All right, guys. Peace.
Rating in 10, 9, 8, 7. Why can't I just not... Used unraid. Oh, did I break it?
You broke it.
I'm so dumb. Whoopsie.
What a noob.
Mobby. Here we go. Start raid. Alright, dude. I'll talk to you later.
Peace.
Peace.